On the news tonight, federal government urges National Assembly to criminalize electricity vandalism. JAMB rejects incompetence ethnic bias claims in 2025 UTME error. While on the foreign scene, former DR Congo Prime Minister sentenced to hard labor for corruption. Good evening and many thanks for joining us on the major reports. I am Olupomi Ajiboye Agbuola. The federal government has called on the National Assembly to enact strict laws to criminalize vandalism and power theft, noting that the current penalties were not deterrent enough. Speaking during a two-day retreat organized by the Senate Committee on Power, the Minister of Power, Adeleke, made the call that vandalism, power theft, illegal connections, and non-payment of electricity bills must be addressed decisively. The minister insisted that vandalism should be treated as a criminal offense, not as a civil matter, noting that such acts undermine critical infrastructure investments and destabilize the national grid. Adeleke further highlighted the persistent crisis in the power sector, particularly the chronic underinvestment in distribution infrastructure, which he said continues to hamper service delivery nationwide despite reforms. He also appealed to the lawmakers to consider accommodating Transmission Company of Nigeria in national budget appropriations, noting that the company currently operates on internally generated revenue, which is insufficient to meet operational, maintenance, and expansion demands. In another development, the federal government, through the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, has taken delivery of the 753 housing units in Abuja recovered by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission from the immediate past governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele. The EFCC chairman, Mr. Olanipekun Olukoyede, at the handing over ceremony to the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dangiwa, vowed that they will monitor the completion and transparent disposal of the properties. Mr. Dangiwa commended the EFCC leadership for the sustained efforts in the fight against corruption and recovery of public assets, noting that this marks a significant milestone in the collective determination to ensure that recovered assets are put to productive use in ways that directly benefit the Nigerian people. He explained that a comprehensive technical evaluation will be undertaken to determine the cost of completing all outstanding infrastructure and ancillary facilities, including perimeter fencing, internal roads, drainage systems, and a police post, shopping areas, recreational centers, and other essential amenities. While speaking, the EFCC chairman said the move was a demonstration of the impact of the fight against financial crimes and corruption in the country, as captured in the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu's administration. The Chief of Staff to the President, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, has stated that education is a vital key that unlocks access to other rights, whether formally recognized or naturally possessed. Honorable Gbajabiamila stated this at the first edition of the Osun State University Annual Lecture titled Interrogating Funding of Education, Global versus Nigeria Perspective. Governor's Office Correspondent Oluwatobiloba Odunuga reports.
Lagunsoye Oyinlola Auditorium of the Osun State University, Uni-Osun, was the hub of intellectual exchange and policy dialogue as the institution held the maiden edition of its annual public lecture with the theme Interrogating Funding of Education, Global versus Nigeria Perspectives. The lecture opened critical conversations on sustainable models for financing tertiary education in Nigeria, featuring the Chief of Staff to the President, Honorable Olufemi Gbajabiamila, as the guest lecturer. Delivering the keynote address, Honorable Gbajabiamila described education funding as the backbone of national development and called for a reimagining of Nigeria's current financing models for tertiary institutions. According to him, the conversation around education funding in Nigeria must move beyond budgetary allocations to a broader, more inclusive structure involving public-private partnerships, endowments, alumni contributions, and technological innovations. He noted that while many countries across the world have leveraged diverse and sustainable funding mechanisms to support their educational institutions, Nigeria still relies heavily on unstable government funding. He added that global best practices shows that no nation succeeds in isolation, saying Nigeria needs to decentralize funding and empower institutions to generate revenues without compromising their academic integrity. Honorable Gbajabiamila stressed the need for legislative reform to support institutional autonomy, performance-based funding, and incentivize private sector participation, adding that the National Assembly must continue to play a critical role in ensuring that laws are in place to support innovative funding practices in tertiary institutions. Citing successful global models, he urged Nigerian universities to embrace data-driven management, accountability, and transparency in fund utilization.
I have long believed that investing in people by providing opportunities for education and skills acquisition not only changes the individual's life, but also offers the best possibility of transformational impact on the well-being of our society.
In his remarks, the Osun State Governor, Senator Adeleke, who is also the visitor to the university, welcomed the guest lecturer with enthusiasm, describing him as a long-time brother and friend of the state, while affirming his administration's commitment to supporting the university, stating that Uni Osun remains one of the enduring legacies that continue to make the state proud. Governor Adeleke lauded the university's governing council and vice chancellor for providing quality leadership that has positioned the institution as a model among its peers, assuring the governing council, management, staff, and students of his continued support. The governor also highlighted Osun State's rising performance in national education rankings, noting that the state has moved from 33rd to 7th position in national examination since 2022, reiterating that this achievement is not accidental but a reflection of his administration's deliberate investment and reforms in the education sector. Governor Adeleke concluded by thanking Honorable Gbajabiamila for honoring the university's invitation and expressed confidence that the lecture will provide valuable insights for policy direction at both state and federal levels.
On our part, I assure the governing council, management, staff, and all students of our support. This is why we are always free to approve any proposal or request from the council.
Earlier at the presidential villa of the state government house, the chief of staff to the president, Honorable Olufemi Gbajabiamila, praised Governor Ademola Adeleke for his good works in Osun State, saying the governor and his team are doing a phenomenal job.
Delighted about that because it gives me an opportunity to sit with you, to felicitate with you, and to see some of the good works that you've done. Sure. And we commend you. And we pray and hope that the Almighty God will continue to be with you in all that you do for the people of Osun State. You are, to put it very lightly, a very good politician.
Present at the gathering were members of the National Assembly, including Honorable Bamidele Salam, Speaker of the Osun State Assembly, Honorable Adewale Egbedun, who led other members of the State Assembly, Chief of Staff to the Governor, Alhaji Kazim Akinleye, among other members of the State Executive Council. It has been Oluwa Tobiloba Odunuga reporting.
The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board has rejected suggestions that administrative failures experienced in the 2025 Unified Tertiary and Matriculation Board were due to incompetence or ethnic bias. JAMB Registrar Professor Isiaq Oloyede said this in Abuja while speaking to the press during a meeting with key stakeholders to address challenges encountered during the 2025 UTME exercise. He also stated that there is no evidence of ethnic sabotage in the error that characterized the examination, dismissing calls for his resignation from critics who purported an ethnic conspiracy in the exercise. Professor Oloyede explained that he is not interested in the ethnic identity of those who committed the mistake, and what happened was a human error committed by certain individuals. He urged stakeholders to stop ethnic profiling of education and criticized those who exploit difficulties to promote ethnic or conspiracy-driven narratives. Recall that Professor Oloyede revealed that the result of the 379,997 candidates across 157 centers in its Lagos and Southeast zones were affected, citing faulty server updates, that led to the failure of upload candidates' responses during the first 3 days of the exam. It was learned that the House of Representatives resolved to probe the examination body over the technical error, while the Southeast Caucus in the House of Representatives demanded the resignation of the JAMB registrar. The lawmakers also called for the cancellation of the 2025 UTME for a fresh examination to be conducted. Did you know that you can be jailed if you fail to vote as a Nigerian of the voting age? Hard to believe, right? This is what may likely happen if the bill seeking to amend the Electoral Act 2022 to allow for compulsory voting is passed into law. In this special report, Oluchi Amuda examines the implications of the bill. Her reports.
Every citizen of Nigeria from 18 years and above has a constitutional obligation to participate in the electoral process through voting. However, not everyone who falls within the age bracket often exercises this civic duty due to a combination of factors. This issue of voters' apathy must have necessitated the move by the House of Representatives to push for a bill seeking to amend the Electoral Act 2022 to make voting compulsory for all Nigerians of voting age in all national and state elections. The proposed legislation, which has passed a second reading, stipulates penalties for eligible voters who fail to vote without a valid justification, including a fine of 100,000 naira, a 6-month jail term, or both. The supporters of the bill have argued that the heart of democracy lies in citizens' participation, adding that democracy thrives when people are actively involved in choosing their leaders and shaping governance. The bill has continued to spark public outrage as many Nigerians have expressed their reservations concerning the legislation. A women and children's welfare advocate, Citizen Olawe, is of the view that the lawmakers have misplaced their priority, which should be based on the delivery of good governance to Nigerians. She noted that a functional electoral umpire that ensures that the people's votes count will allow for more participation of voters in the electoral process and put an end to voter apathy.
Whether we vote or not, the situation will remain the same. Why would I go out on election days to risk my life, to waste my time, to waste my energy, and at the end of the day, there's no change? So what the people need to see is that there's actual change, and that the right people, that there's an avenue for the right people to get there. So many people have stayed away politics because they are afraid for their lives. And these are people, some of those people have a lot to give to the society.
Speaking in the same vein, the royal father, the Alara of Ara, Obawindapo Lubayo, said there was nothing wrong in encouraging voters to exercise their franchise by participating in the electoral process, but it shouldn't be forced.
Your conscience should judge you if you don't vote, and so the society is the way it is now. You cannot complain. You will not have the mouth to complain that something is wrong. But if you had voted and you were able to influence whoever comes to power or whoever becomes your representative, then you have, and again you will have enough courage, within you, to face whoever you have voted for. Say, this is not what we voted you to go and do in the House of Assembly or at the level of the government in which you find yourself. So it is good, but I don't think it should be made compulsory.
In his opinion, a human rights activist, Comrade Wale Adebisi, stated that Nigerians have lost hope in the electoral process because there is no guarantee that the votes would count. He encouraged the lawmakers to get their act together by promulgating laws to fight corruption and promote good governance.
I think it's a reasonable bill. They should think better. People are suffering. People are feeling hungry. They should reason better for Nigerians. They should reason along with the present predicament of the people, citizens of this country. Not what is voting. Voting is a voluntary thing. What of those who? Is it not when you belong to a party that you are going to vote? Is it everybody in Nigeria that belongs to one party? Some people don't belong to any party. Some people, because of their religion, do not even join any party. So some people, out of lack of trust on the leadership and on the party system, they do not bother to go and vote. So until the trust deficit is being cleared by the leadership, until the party in Nigeria transform from the level of platform, which they are now, to the level of a political party, and that is what can motivate people to go and vote. That is, let them go. With them, how many prisons do they want to build and jail people? They are not serious people.
Nigerians are eagerly waiting to see if the bill will see the light of the day, as it has been referred to the House Committee on Electoral Matters for further legislative action. Oluchi Amudan, OSBC News.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Bar Association (NBA) has condemned a proposed bill seeking to amend the Electoral Act 2022 to make voting compulsory for all eligible Nigerians, warning that the bill is unconstitutional and a threat to democratic freedoms. In a statement issued by its president, Afam Osigwe SAN, the NBA described the bill, which proposes penalties including fines of up to 100,000 naira or imprisonment for those who fail to vote, as a draconian affront to civil liberties enshrined in the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Citing Section 39, subsection 1 of the Constitution, the association argued that the right to freedom of expression includes the right to remain silent and abstain from political participation. The NBA further called for attention to Section 40, which guarantees freedom of association, including the right not to associate, as grounds to reject any attempt to force citizens to vote. According to Osigwe, democracy is not sustained by coercion. It thrives on consent, participation, and trust. The Nigerian Youth Forum has identified systemic corruption as the primary driver of Nigeria's worsening food insecurity crisis, warning that without urgent action, over 25 million Nigerians could face acute hunger in the near future. The national president of NYF, Kombetoria Filani, expressed deep concern over the diversion of agricultural machinery, weak budgetary commitments, and poor oversight of key interventions. He described Nigeria's reliance on food imports and international aid as a national tragedy and policy failure, despite the country's vast arable and land resources. Filani revealed that only 35% of Nigeria's cultivable land is currently in use, largely by smallholder farmers operating at subsistence levels without access to modern tools or support services. He criticized the persistent underfunding of the agricultural sector, noting that Nigeria allocated just 1.32% of its 2024 national budget to agriculture, far below the 10% benchmark recommended by the African Union under the Maputo and Malabo declarations. He further lamented that Nigeria's slow pace of agricultural reform is stalling broader economic progress. The federal government has announced a cash reward of 5 million naira for information that could lead to the recapture of the 7 inmates who escaped from the Medium Custodial Center, Ilesha, Osun State. Public Relations Officer of the Nigeria Correctional Service, NCOs, DCC, Abubakar Umaru, disclosed this in a statement in Abuja. He said in order to encourage public participation, 5 million naira is being offered to anyone who provides useful information that leads to the recapture of the fleeing inmates from the Medium Custodial Center. NCOs urged members of the public to report any information they may have regarding the whereabouts of the inmates at large to the nearest security agencies, and all information will be treated with utmost confidentiality and anonymity. The police command in Oyo State says it has arrested one of its personnel who accidentally shot dead a 14-year-old secondary school student, Kehinde Alade, in Ibadan. The command spokesperson, CSP Adewale Oshifeso, disclosed this in a statement issued in Ibadan, adding that the officer responsible for the discharge of the firearm had been taken into custody along with other members of his team. Oshifeso said the Commissioner of Police, Johnson Adinola, had ordered a comprehensive investigation into the incident and will be led by the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of the state's Criminal Investigation Department. He assured the public that the process will be transparent and the findings made public. Oshifeso added that the body of the deceased had been deposited at the Odeoyo State Hospital mortuary for autopsy and preservation. Governor of Borno State, Babangana Zulum, has alleged that some Nigerian politicians and military personnel are among those leaking information to Boko Haram sect. Governor Zulum said this in an interview on national television, adding that insurgency could be conquered in 6 months as his administration will continue to strengthen intelligence to deal with the situation. Zulum further said that kinetic measures alone would not stop insecurity in the northeast, as he noted that all security agencies and the government must also adopt non-kinetic measures to deal with the menace. On repentant fighters, he pointed out that among the 500,000 or more that have repented, he cannot rule out the possibility of fewer of them going back to the bush. The Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State and Osun State Broadcasting Corporation veterans, in collaboration with the management of OSBC, is organizing a pre-retirement seminar for members of staff retiring from service in the next 2 to 3 years. The seminar, which is scheduled to hold tomorrow, is aimed at preparing the potential retirees for the unknown world of the future. Resource persons expected at the seminar are Pastor Yemi Oyeleye of Jerusalem Pilgrimage and Mr. Ademola Adio of Leadway Pension. Our welcome address is to be delivered by OSBC Board Chairman Honorable Mayowa Olosho, while a keynote address will be delivered by the OSBC DGPS, Mrs. Jola Adegbarola. Venue is the OSBC Pen Resource Center, Ileawiye Okebale, Osogbo. You are welcome to the sports segment. Team Osun continues to shine at the 22nd National Sports Festival taking place in Abeokuta, Ogun State, as Edim Emmanuel delivered a stellar performance in the male 81 kg weightlifting event, clinching 3 gold medals. John Oyelake completes the report and others.
Edim Emmanuel in the clean and jack categories lifted an impressive 135 kg in the snatch and 165 kg in the jack, showcasing power and precision on the national stage. His outstanding achievement adds to Osun's growing medal in weightlifting, bringing the total to 6 gold medals. Earlier in the competition, Ismailia Yusuf had also secured 3 gold medals for Team Osun in her category. Meanwhile, Team Bayelsa is currently leading the medals charge at the 2024 National Sports Festival with a total of 9 medals so far, consisting of 6 gold, 2 silver and 1 bronze medal. Super Eagles head coach Eric Chad has selected Rave of the Moment in France, Moses Simon, goalkeeper Stanley Iwabali, midfielder Wilfred Ndidi and forward Ahmed Musa among a total of 25 Super Eagles who will execute its month-end Unity Cup tournament in London. Charles, who admitted that the Super Eagles are looking forward to take part in the Unity Cup in London, said it will give the team the chance to try out few new players in different roles, helping to strengthen the squad before the World Cup qualification matches in September and October this year. He noted that the squad included a number of standout Nigeria Premier Football League players in the Unity Cup, such players like Junior Harrison Undoka, captain of the champion Super Eagles B and of champions Remo Stars. Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur meet in the Europa League final in Bilbao this night, with both clubs eyeing a vital route into next season's Champions League after historical poor Premier League campaigns. The two sides have suffered 39 league defeats this season, with 20-time champions United languishing in a humiliating 16th place and Spurs just 1 spot above the relegation zone in 17th. Yet come the final whistle at San Mem Stadium. One club will celebrate not only a prestigious European trophy but also a financial win for potential exceeding £100 million. John Oyelakin, OSBC News.
A former Prime Minister of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Augustin Poyo, has been sentenced to a decade's forced labor for corruption. Poyo was found guilty of embezzling about $245 million of public funds by the Congolese Constitutional Court alongside the former governor of the DR Congo Central Bank, Deogracias Mutombo. The former Prime Minister's lawyer told newsmen that the ruling was unfair and politically motivated. He explained that the part of the funds were taken from a major agricultural development intended to tackle the country's chronic food shortages. Reports say the fund was intended to provide reprieve to the 28 million people who currently face acute food insecurity in DR Congo, which has been plagued by conflict for more than 30 years since the 1994 Rwanda genocide. And that ends the major reports on OSBC TV. It was edited by Michael Adeni. I am Olubumi Ajiboye Agbola, wishing you a pleasant evening. Good night.